Hello. Today I thought I'd have a go with you to do some emboss resist. I made a card the other day which lots of people liked and wanted to know how I did it. So what I'm going to do is use this set, which I'd forgotten I'd bought. I must have had it for years. It sat on the shelf. It's a perpetual birthday calendar, it's called, but what I wanted it for was some of these little diddly bits, and I've chosen the stars and the dots, and they're on my little blocks there, my acrylic blocks. So what I'm going to do is to stamp some of these first of all with Versamark, and then I'm going to clear emboss it. Okay, so that bit should stay the colour of my base card. So, anti-static bag, get rid of grease and all that kind of stuff. Looking at that, I don't know how clean that is, but we'll see. Anyway, here we go. Ink it up. I'm not going to use the whole of this piece of card that I've got here. I'm going to use 4 squares, and which 4 squares I use depend on how well or otherwise this turns out. So randomly around the card. There we go. That's the first lot. So now I'm just going to put some clear embossing powder on that. Looks all right. Okay. There we go. So now I'm going to heat set it. Okay, my gun was a bit cold, so it took rather a long time. Sorry about that. Before I put any ink on, I'm going to do a similar bit with the stars, because I would like both of these to be remaining. Well, they won't look absolutely white because they'll have some other ink over the top, but you know what I mean. I keep saying that. I don't know if you do know what I mean, really, but let's see how we go. It's quite difficult to see where you're stamping when you're doing Versamark because it's a clear ink, but it's a very slow drying ink, so you've got time to stamp a few before you put an embossing powder on it, and it'll still stay sticky. To work reasonably quickly, nevertheless. Just one more, I think. There we go. Now I'm going to put this in some embossing powder as well. There we go. I think that's okay. Noise again, sorry about this. Right, now I'll try and hold this up. I don't know whether you'll be able to see, but can you see? There is the impression there. Now, where that embossing powder has landed is going to resist the ink that I'm going to put on it. So what I'm going to use is some Distress Oxide, and I've got 3 shades of blue, starting light, going middle, and then a darker one. And I'm going to start by putting on the lighter, or the lightest, should I say, of the 3 colours. So this is Stormy Sky. And I'm also going to start with the lightest way of adding colour, which is a blending brush. I have got a sponge dauber, but you get far more colour onto a project with a dauber than you do with a brush. So I'm going to start with the brush and just see how we go. So onto the project. I don't think I'm getting quite, oh, I don't know, maybe. Let's try a deeper colour. I'll try this one. See what happens. It's a bit of an experiment for me for this. I haven't tried it before. Right, now I would like to add some little dots onto this, like splattery things in a slightly darker colour. So I've got another Stampin' Up. This is from Gorgeous Leaves, and I'm going to I'm going to dry this off first, because if I try and emboss on top of that, it'll stick everywhere. Right, Versamark. Few splatters. I'm going to go in lots of the places. I think I've got that all over. I am sorry if I'm a little distracted this morning. We've got some friends coming to celebrate New Year this evening, and we've done it every year for donkey's years, 20 odd years, don't remember exactly. But last year we couldn't do it. Obviously there were problems in the world, so we had to Zoom last year. This year we are allowed to do it, but
I'm not sure I understand.
Oh, you said that yesterday. Mr. Siri keeps... how do you silence an Apple Watch? I ask myself. Let me see. How do I silence it? I don't know. He keeps interrupting. He's a nasty man. And I've got too much... got too much embossing powder on there. It's stuck to... Obviously didn't dry it enough. Scrape a little bit off. Let's see how we go. Anyway, I was saying about being distracted, and obviously before the friends come, we want to do lateral flows. Everybody wants to do it before we meet up. And I started to, well, I did one, and there was absolutely no reaction. So I've had to do it again. And that's why I'm a little bit distracted, I think. Let's just heat this up and see what happens. Get rid of all that now. It's not what I intended at all, really, but it's funny how things work out, isn't it, really? Right, let's just give this a bit of heat. Actually, that's really very subtle. I know you can't see it. Let me just put that there and see if I can. Can you see? This little tiny, where is it? This one. It's tiny dots, and it has left a lovely texture on the front. How do we go back? There we are. Right, I'm going to do just a little bit more inking. I'm going to use this darker shade, but I'm going to have to be careful with this. This has got loads of embossing powder in it. When I just used it to wipe off. Shouldn't have used it, really. Never mind, it'll be all right. Give it a wash later. Now, I think I might have gone a bit too far there. Now, because I've been putting ink over the top of the embossing powder, the stars and the blobs have gone a bit white. So what I need to do is just clean them off. I'm going to use a bit of baby wipe. Get back to the white. Okay. Now, I've got a few more things I want to do before we... Actually, what I'm actually doing this for is to make a New Year card. I'm going to do a 2022 in a four square pattern in the centre of a square card. But I need... These little squares are what I've cut for the little mounts. This size square is what I'm going to cut some of these with, and obviously I'm going to choose my spot for the nicer bits of the image, really. These little dies, they're from a set from Presscut. They start at one that's about 1 centimetre across, and they go up to about, I don't know, they're huge. There's loads in the set, and the difference between each one is quite small, so you can get a really nice subtle mount for whatever, really. and I just love them. And what I also like about them is the fact that there's only a very narrow piece of metal either side of the cutting line, and that means you don't get a great flattened bit, you know, around something. So now I'm going to cut some out. That's the next thing I'm going to do. I've got some more fiddling to do with the images once I've done it, but here we go. I think I'll, can you see this? Let's move this over a tad. There, we can see it. Now, I'm just going to choose my spots. What shall I have? That's quite a nice one, with that swirly bit of white. Let's cut that one out. I've got to bear in mind that a number would be going into the centre of each one of these. That's quite interesting, isn't it? Right, let's have another one. That's quite nice too. Two. And a bit more populated, this one. Let's try that. Three. And what shall we have for four? That's quite nice there. Let's have that one. No. I mess around for ages doing this kind of thing. You'd be surprised how much time you can waste fiddling around. Right, there we go. Push that out of the way again. Get rid of that, and that, and these, and that. And I think this is from Lakeland or something. It's supposed to keep half a grapefruit or something, but I keep a wet wipe in. If I've just used it once, I don't like to throw it straight away, and if I put it down, it dries out. So here are my four squares, and I've got some numbers here. I want to just do the edges of these just a little bit. Use the darkest colour, and I'm just going to just gently add a bit of definition to the edges of the squares. This one, just a bit. There we go. Yesterday I had my husband coming in shouting about household insurance when I was trying to do a video. This morning I fortunately hadn't got going, and I did tell him this time I was going to be doing a video. You're still shouting away. Your test hasn't worked. Anyway, there we go. There. Right. White fingers. Let's use one of these out of here. Wipe my fingers. Wipe the mat. There we go. Now the numbers, I don't know what make these were, but I've done 3 of them already. 20, 20, and I've got these 3 for the 2s, the 2022. And one of them, this one, I cut out with some double-sided tape on the back, because when I'm putting stuff onto a project, I don't like to get glue all over the place. So that one's got double-sided tape on, and what I'm going to do is use my zig pen, and I like to use a zig pen because it's a wet adhesive, a wet glue. You can slide dies around so that they fit exactly. So make sure they're absolutely accurately joined. And here's another. That slipped a bit, but I can easily alter it. There we go. They're slipping a bit too much here at the minute. That's better. That is better. There we are. 2022. So one of these is going to go on each of these little tiles. And I'm going to give them another little dry, because if you try and stick stuff, anything, any die cut or whatever, to something that has got Distress ink on, unless it's dry, it won't stick well. So I'm just going to give it a quick whiz. Sorry about this again. Okay, now let's see how we want to arrange them together. Let's have a look, see. That one would be better to see. I think that'll be all right. Do you think that'll be all right? Yeah, let's have a go at that. Let me just wipe my fingers again. I've got the remnants of embossing powder. Right. Now, I'm going to peel off my double-sided tape. And stick this down. There we go. 20. 20. 2. Right, now I'm going to stick those onto these. There we go, one. The last one. There we are. Now, all that remains for me to do is to put these onto my card front. And I don't know what I've done with it. Oh, for a card front. Here it is. Here it is. So I'm going to put those on a little bit of foam tape just so that they have a little relief. So here we go. I like this tape rather than those little tiny squares because it's thinner, and with the restrictions, I don't know about all over the world, but I know that in this country, the UK, if your card or your letter, whatever it is too fat to go through a special gauge, you pay extra postage, which is a bit of a nuisance, really. So if it's not too thick, then we're in business. 20, 22, is that the way I want it now? I'd like it like, I'll have it like that. So now I'm not going to stick them down this very moment because I may just decide to put all the 4 of those onto another piece of card, but I can't make my mind up at the moment. So I'm going to leave it at that for now. I've achieved what I wanted to do. I've made my New Year card for a lady, and I've shown you how I do emboss resist. So thanks for watching.